Greetings everyone, this is Elizabeth and today is October 2nd and it's National Card Making Day. How fun is that? We're going to continue with the Halloween / fall theme. Today is going to be more fall than Halloween, but this will be good for anybody that loves this cozy season. Because it's a wonderful cozy season, right? I'm going to use quite a bit of stamps today. We're going to do a floral, and it doesn't really matter what kind it is. What matters is the colors we use. We're going to use more of the oranges, yellows, and browns for the fall colors. And this particular one is Fresh Cut Flowers from Simon Hurley. It's one of his peel-aparts. Absolutely love the peel-aparts. And then we're going to use two stamps from Whimsy Stamps from two different collections. One is the Coffee Break set, and the other is Bunny Hugs. Because cocoa, warm coffee, you know, it kind of feels like a hug. So we're going to do that. We're going to have a lovely hug with our cup of coffee or cocoa. And here's our fresh cut flowers ready to go. Now, I'm going to do this on watercolor paper. Pretty much all watercolor paper is heavy enough to withstand water. That's the name implies, watercolor paper. Now, if you get a pad of watercolor paper and it's not thick and heavy like this, don't buy that pad of paper. Always open up the pad if you can and give it a feel. If you're buying on Amazon or anywhere else like that, you want to make sure that it's good for watercolor techniques. This particular one is 300 grams, okay? It's a cold press. Cold press means you're going to have the bumpies on both sides. Hot press is a little more expensive. Hot press is smooth, which is really great for stamping. But this is going to be just fine for us. And let's grab out some, you want to grab an ink that is watercolor safe. Okay, like our VersaFine Claire in the Nocturne. Now, our paper is bigger than the stamp. Even our card base, okay? See how it hangs over? So when I go to ink this, one side, let me make sure I do that right. So when I go to stamp this side, I don't mind having the chop off. But this side, right there, I'm going to make sure I clean these half pieces off. This one, and probably that one. Okay. So I'm just going to try not to ink the little half pieces. Oops. Try not to ink them. And then I just inked that one. But we don't mind the other half pieces. Ooh, look. I don't even have to try this one. We'll just take that one right out of there. Look at that. Gotta love these peel-aparts. Make sure it's nice and inky. Okay. Missed the little tip right there. Now I'm just going to take my rag and just wipe off these flowers that I inked up by accident. Just grab a little bit of water, wipe those up. Red rubber cleans up pretty good, even for the VersaFine Claire. Let's get those nice and clean. Okay. Looks good. Make sure I dry it. All right. So now you can either take stamp to paper or paper to stamp. And I'm just going to line up the one side, just like so. And we can get our pressure tool, we can use our hands, and we're just going to apply some nice even pressure And there's that. And see, we have no harsh lines. And I'm okay that some of the spots didn't get fully stamped. That's all right. So when I go to trim this, I'll trim it down this side, straighten up that line, and then, yeah, it'll look great. Okay, I'm going to clean my little stamp here, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so we're all nice and cleaned up. I've grabbed my Simon Hurley re-inkers for his ink pads. And we are going to grab a fairly fat brush, and we're just going to apply some water to the flowers. And I don't mind if the water goes out the line. Okay, we're just going to add the water where we're going to color. Get that water on there. Okay, because what's going to happen is when I add more color to it, let's pick up some of this orange, and we're just going to tap it on and just let it bleed out. Grab a little bit more water. Okay. And then we're going to grab a little bit of this red and put it on the tips. And we're not cleaning the brush. We're just going to let it do its thing. Get a little bit darker in the center. Just pick up more concentrated. Okay. Add more water to this one. Oops. Dribbles. That's okay. And if you get too much water, it's just watercolor paper. We're just going to dab it up a little. Okay. And we're going to go in with this one. Fabulous. Just some lovely tapping. So we'll let this gem dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to clean up and get set up for the next step. Okay, so now we're going to do some stamping. And we're going to have our watercolor piece take up the whole front of the panel. Okay. And we don't want to cover the whole thing. Our little coffee cup isn't that big. So what I'm going to do is take my little scrap. Oh, that'll be perfect. Look at that. So I just want a little rectangle. And of course this is crooked. It's not a great scrap. So we'll cut that straight. We'll get this stamped and then we'll fussy cut that out. And then on the other side, we will get that little lovely gem stamped and really fussy cut that one out. This one is just going to be a shape, but shall return. Okay, so I have grabbed a couple of colors to do the cup and a couple of grays to do the rabbit. And these are just some Arteza alcohol markers. I've got a wine red and sienna brown for the cup, and then a storm gray and a fog gray for the rabbits. And I'm going to start with this rabbit's little scarf, and we're just going to use the wine red. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to get some color in there. And I'll go ahead and zoom through the coloring for you. Okay, so simple, 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 right? We don't want it too complex. So for the coffee cup, if I could pick it up here, I just took the red color, ran a line under the lid because there would be a shadow, and then I picked a side just to darken up. And then on the lid and the label, I did the same thing. I put the darker gray down the side and then the lighter gray on both sides, just to show that it's maybe got a highlight right there. And then on the rabbits, I wanted white rabbits. So all I did was, for the older rabbit, I used a darker gray, and the younger rabbit, we used a lighter gray, and I just kind of outlined them. Nothing really fancy or anything, just outlined them. And then I forgot about the ears, so I just grabbed peaches and cream for their little ears. Ooh, you know, we can even give them a little, like a little blush. There we go. Give me a little blush. There we go. All right, so let's pull out, zoom out a little bit. And our card panel is still a little wet because I did get it pretty soppy wet. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this, and I'll be right back with you. And you can always tell if your paper's still wet. One, you can kind of feel it, but it'll also be cold. We don't want cold paper. So we want it nice and warm. I'll be right back. Good old heat tool, just dried that right up. So we want to cut this to fit our card, and that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick this under the slicer, take off this little bit because it's a little bit longer than my cutting area. Look at that. So we're just going to take off the little bit on the side where it didn't stamp over because of that edge, and that's okay. We've got plenty to work with. Okay, so now that's perfectly straight. Now we're going to get this to 4 1/4. Right there. Maybe a little less. Not quite 4. Okay, not quite 4. So we have a little bit of the card base will show through too. And then I think, let's see. This is 5 1/2. I think I want to trim this little bit off first. Now we're going to go to 5 1/2, so not quite 5 1/2. Well, that's a good section of that. And see, we'll just get this hair of a white border. That will be perfect. And then we have this nice little bit that we can use on something else, or send it to the recycle bin. No big deal. Now, when I cut that, I realized this was still a little wet in there. Not a big deal. We're just going to use some wet glue. It'll mix right in. Got a little goo in there. I always get goo in there. There we go. So easy to clean out. I get goo in there because I don't put the pin back in all the time right away, and it dries really fast in there. And so I have some high spots, so I'm just going to tap those down because I don't want them marking up the outside of my paper. Even though the cardstock is a little bit thicker, it shouldn't show up too bad. Even though it looks like I'm pinching, I'm barely holding this just so I have that little bit of wiggle room Once I've decided and want to commit, that's when I'll apply all the pressure. Let it get happy for a few minutes. Okay. And then there's our little coffee cup, which, there we go. I just kind of want to see more of that flower, so we'll just scooch it off to the side. Oh, I like that. But I want to pop dot everything. So I'm going to put this one on some Arteza foam tape because it's thin. And then I'll put the bunnies on a thicker foam tape. So they'll be up just higher than our cup. Okay. Come on, peel, peel. Oh no, don't drop it like that. I'll leave it to me, just drop it. Okay. And again, if we set it down gently, we can adjust it a little bit, then commit. Okay, so now we go for our bin for our fat little pop dots. And we'll make that just stand up even taller. Although I don't need that much, right? Yeah, I'm going to cut this down the center here. And put this on this side. See how that looks. So I just need a thinner dot right there. So we'll get a thinner strip right down the side so it's more level, just like so. And then we'll get super skinny stuff for the ears because they're on the cup too. I like having multiple tapes, then I don't have to trim things. Super easy to put back. Okay, and then we're gonna put that right on, oops, use the other side. There we go. And then we'll have a nice sturdy bunny. Make sure our fat little foamies are on the other side. There we go. Look at that. I'm loving that. Okay. And then on the inside, we could say something like a good cup of coffee is like a warm hug, or sending warm hugs. You know, anything fun and cozy on the inside. Or you can stamp on your little coffee cup, because the Whimsy set does come with sentiments you can stamp right into the coffee. Java, great day. Love your hugs would even work, you know, if I'd have thought about that, but that's all right. How fun is that? And then on the inside, you can stamp some of the beans, unless it's cocoa. and maybe send a little cocoa pack with some marshmallows. That would be a fun little gift. Well, let me know what you think down below. We have a lovely little fall card for you. Multiple stamp companies. I love mixing them up. Well, 2 stamp companies, 3 different stamp sets. Always fun to mix and match. And if you decide to make a warm hugs card, be sure to post it on the Chat with Sassy's Crafty Friends Facebook group. I'd love to see what you make. Or tag me on Instagram at Chat with Sassy. And we will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.